according to the class.
Thank you,
Or
Jochen. It started. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody to this evening's presentation, during which we will be celebrating the winning entries in the 2024 Reuben Rose competition. Welcome, and thank you for taking the trouble to join us. I know I've said this before, but I would like to tell you that submitting a poem to the Reuben Rose competition was my first interaction with Voices Israel. My poem didn't actually conform to the standards required, and Mark Levinson, our esteemed Reuben Rose Prize administrator, contacted me and told me how it needed to be adjusted. The poem wasn't a winner and didn't warrant getting a mention at all, but the way Mark dealt with me left a lasting impression. He runs our prestigious competition in a very dignified and correct way, but also in a very friendly and compassionate way. Mark has been the administrator for many years, and please God, he should continue for many more years to come in good health. I shall soon invite Mark to say a few words, but meanwhile, I'd like to say a special thank you to all the judges, Dina Yehuda and Judy Corran, who were first and second prize winners in the previous competition, and Nancy Schifrin, our international judge, who unfortunately I don't think can be with us this evening, unless she's going to connect unexpectedly. The judges have given their time and expertise to judge all the entries. Thank you so much. We will hear from each of you soon as well. And thank you to everybody who submitted entries to the competition and everybody who is participating in this evening's gathering. For me, personally, the greatest honour as a poet would be to receive a prize or an honourable mention in the Reuben Rose competition. I've submitted several poems over the last few years without success, but I'm determined to keep trying to improve my poems in the hope that one day I will succeed. With that in mind, I'm looking forward to the next Voices Israel workshop, which is provisionally scheduled for June the 24th. I hope that you'll be able to join us for this event, at least those of you in Israel, which hopefully will be a live event in the Haifa region. Wendy, Pesach, are you, either of you connected? Pesach is, and I don't know if Wendy is connected or not, but Pesach, are you able to say a few words about your part of the, sorry to put you on the spot, are you able to unmute and just say a few words? If not, then more details will follow anyway. But Pesach, can you tell us what your part is?
Well, my part will be devoted to the poetry of Bob Dylan and examining a very small part of his poetry and lyrics and seeing what we can learn from it, and then writing our own poems based on what we've learned from Mr. Dylan.
Well, that's wonderful, Pesach. I'm very much looking forward to it. Wendy, I think you're connected. I think the event is scheduled for the 24th of June, and I think it's in Haifa. Is that right?
Yes, we've booked a very nice venue, which is very accessible to everybody, with lots of room. And my part of it, I was very intrigued when I first saw the poems or read the poems of Emma Lazarus, the first time being on the plinth of the Statue of Liberty. And then I started investigating and researching her life. And she really is a very fascinating person, an activist for immigration, a feminist, a poet. So I'll be talking about her. And
well,
of course, we have writing exercises afterwards, so you will have plenty of time to be creative.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Pesach. I'm looking forward to the 24th of June, and I hope that you'll be able to join us for this event if you're in Israel and able to get to Haifa. So after we've heard from Mark and the judges, who will each say a few words about the competition, I will call upon all the prize winners and those who received an honourable mention to read their poems. I ask that each of you introduce yourself to the audience with just a few words to tell us your name, where you are, and an interesting fact about yourself, or even an uninteresting fact. And then after the 15 award-winning poems have been read, we'll open up for an open mic session, giving priority to those participating this evening who haven't read their own poem, and if time allows, for the prize winners and honourable mentions as well to read a short poem too, if time allows. And by the way, for those of you who have won monetary prizes. The prize money will be sent to you very soon. We're just sorting out a few administrative things, and then we'll be in touch. So without further ado, I'd like to pass on to Mark, the administrator of the Reuben Rose Prize competition, to say a few words. And Johan, could I just ask that if it's possible for you not to share the screen with the poems on, so that it opens up a little bit more space for people to see who's attending and to see Mark as well.
Yes.
Mark, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Julian. This year we decided to award more prizes than before. Each year when we stack all the poems up, there are always plenty of deserving winners at the top of the pyramid. And besides that, we thought that a side effect of offering more prizes would be attracting more poets to broaden the base of the pyramid. In what my father, the physician, used to call my series of one case, that theory didn't work out. We didn't log any more entries. We still have an excellent list of winners and honorable mentions, but we're still trying to think of how to bring more poems in. The top winners this year were all from the USA, with one of the third prize winners being from the UK. Last year, the first, second, and third prizes all went to Israeli poets. So obviously the Americans and the British have been applying themselves over the past year. And Reuben Rose would be happy. Reuben himself immigrated to Israel from the UK, from Wales, I believe. And he was very much in favor of poetry as a force for mutual understanding and appreciation across the world. Before the world's poets entered the electronic age, he did all he could with his manual typewriter and with the help of the Postal Service. He was one of the founding members of the Voices group of poets in English. He chaired the monthly meetings in Haifa, Tel Aviv, and Jerusalem, and he handled all the administration. I want to thank this year's judges, Dina Yehuda, Judy Koren from Israel, Nancy Schifrin from the USA. The job isn't easy. It's like a fruit contest. It's comparing apples to oranges, but the judges have come up with a very good set of winners. Nancy Schifrin is unable to be here for reasons of technical difficulties, but I have a poem that she sent in that mentions Voices Israel among other concerns, and I'm going to read it now. It's called Birthright, and there's a note saying it was written after the Hamas attacks on Gaza, October 7th, 2023.
Mark, on which page? On which page?
No page. You're going to have to listen.
Ah, okay. It's not, it doesn't figure here, in the anthology.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This poem is not about rockets, beheaded babies, men with payas curling beneath black hats davening at the wall. It's not about blue and white tin cans, pennies to plant a tree in Israel. Perhaps it is about pickle jars lining the fire escape at Baba Fanny's, the precise combination of spices, recipes lost to quarrels and languages I couldn't comprehend. Is it about being called a dirty Jew? What do they mean by birthright? A promise from God that this patch of parched earth would sustain us through the generations, that these scrolls would be read each year? What about the Canaanites? What price do we pay for their rage? I would love to remember and keep the Shabbat, to light the candles, make the gesture, recite the prayers, perform tashlich, fast on Yom Kippur, say Kaddish for my parents. For this Yeshua, I have fought in grade school bathrooms, at academic conferences, literary readings, in the streets. This poem interrogates birthright. What do pork and shellfish have to do with anything? Does this poem require I learn Ivrit, Yiddish, Ladino, adorn myself with talit, wear a sheitel? And what right have I to judge Jewish poems written in the English language. Poems about Ein Gedi, anti-Semitism in Australia, Abraham and Isaac, genocide sites in Ukraine, the poem itself. Perhaps this poem is about my mother's rape, the beating when she asked for help. She loved bacon, screamed her pain in the synagogue. The good women turned their heads. With this prayer, I mourn. With this poem, I return. So that was Nancy Schifrin. Back to you,
Wow.
Julie.
Well, thank you, Mark. Mark, could I trouble you to email Nancy and ask her if we could put that poem in the newsletter? Ask her if
You
we have her.
you can trouble me to email Nancy. I emailed
Okay.
her about the Zoom and I haven't heard from her, but I'll
Okay,
try it
well,
again.
please do, and if she responds, then we'll see. Okay, but thank you, Mark. That was wonderful. So after Mark, I'm going to ask the judges to say a few words. Dina, can we ask you, please, to
Yes.
share
Yes,
your
of
thoughts
course.
with us?
I just want to say what a privilege it was to be the judge, one of the judges, to work, of course, with Judy Cora and to work with Mark and always with you, Julian. And the poems were wonderful. I really, really enjoyed reading them many times and judging them. And I think we did a good job. I think the poems are terrific. And Judy, what do you think?
I agree with you, of course, entirely. And one of the reasons that when I came in, I said how happy I was to be next to Judy Robinson and how happy I was to see David Allard. I hadn't at that point seen anybody else from the winners, was that I so much enjoyed their poems.
Dina, are you
Yes.
muted? Yes. Okay. Dina, anything else to add, or are you are you done?
Well, as Judy said, I'm very happy to see the faces, you know, to see the faces of our poets, the winning poets, and I can put the face now to the poems. And it just was really a great joy, especially in these difficult times when you're just reading wonderful poems. It does some kind of solace for the soul.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you, Dina. Judy, would you like to unmute and share your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Julian. Incidentally, before I start with my thoughts, which seem to take up a whole page, Birgit asked where is the poem in the anthology? I'd like to remind everybody that the 2024 anthology contains the 2023 Reuben Rose poems, and the ones that we are reading tonight have not yet been published. So we can't look in the last anthology we have for any of them. That's why Johanan is going to screen share the file. Okay, back to my judge's hat. You know, every judge who's commented on the Reuben Rose Awards seems to have started off by saying how grateful they were for the opportunity to judge, and what a pleasure it's been to have such a wide range of poems from Israel and all over the world and to be able to read them. And I always thought, you know, well, they're just being polite, until I got to be a judge myself. And then I realized that, no, it's the honest truth. It's been an honor to be a judge, and it is a pleasure. It has been a pleasure to read the poems. So thank you, Mark and Julian, for all the hard work you've put into organizing and running this competition and this awards event. I think both of you deserve a heartfelt appreciation. It's a lot of work, I know. A few words about the judging process. That is right. Pause to clap. A few words about the judging process. I know there are some competitions that aim for a consensus vote, but ours takes the view that strength is in diversity. So we each score the poems from 1 to 10 without any consultation between us. And the idea is that if you just add up all the scores from each judge, the poems that rise to the top will be the ones that all the judges rated highly. And I think looking at the list, that is what in fact happened. different judges of this competition in the past have said they look for different things. One said novelty of vision and freshness of imagery. Okay. Another said it resonated with me, it stayed in my mind. And I remember reading an interview of a few poetry magazine editors who were asked what makes a good poem. And one said, or how they decide that a poem is good. And one of them said, it sends shivers up my spine. And another said, it gives me goosebumps. And another said, it makes me tear up, it brings tears to my eyes. And I'm sorry, I am getting all sorts of requests from Zoom here to do all sorts of things while I'm talking. And I think the net effect of that is that what makes the most impression is an emotional effect that's strong enough to have some sort of physical effect. So I have to admit that I myself am a neo-formalist. I believe that technique and cadence, metaphor, simile, attention to sound and the choice of words in free verse as much as in formal is what turns prose into poetry. But I saw as I read the poems that the ones that stay in your mind are the ones that do have this emotional impact, and that technique is simply a means to the end. So you can write a technically perfect poem that leaves the reader cold and it isn't going to win any prizes. Okay. On the other hand, a poet who writes about something that's truly emotionally wrenching, but they don't have a command of technique, okay, is not going to win any prizes either. They won't get that goosebumps effect. So it's perhaps not unexpected, and this was something I didn't notice as a judge. I only noticed when I saw the list of poems that had actually won, that every single one of the 5 winning poems centers or circles around that quintessentially emotional subject, death. Death of oneself, death of a parent, death of childhood friends, death of us and our planet. But they do it subtly with very controlled use of technique. So Judy Robinson's poem, for example, her winning poem, uses metaphor, parallelism, repetition built into its structure, and more to create a mood that prefigures the acceptance of death with which the poem ends. Evie Groch, I hope I've got your name right, pronounced right, uses metaphor and imagery to describe the very complex character of her mother. I singled out especially the phrase, a geyser that faithfully spews relentless love. What a wonderful adjective that is. What an image in which every word is precisely in the right place to sum up a situation, together with the emotional impact of a last line which explains an entire relationship. And of the 3 third prize winners, not having time to mention them all, I especially want to comment on David Allard's, excuse me, Skimming Stones Towards an Imagined Island, which so skillfully progresses from a childhood bearing hopes of long life to the present reality of death, and how incredibly he uses a final metaphor and image to link back from a funeral to the innocence of that childhood. And he uses an initial at dawn and a final at sunset, not only to designate a time of day, but also as metaphors for childhood versus death, which together encapsulate the poem. So I could go on in that vein also about the other 2 and some of the honorable mentions. They were all fine poems, but I think I've outrun my time. So I'll just give congratulations again to all the winners and the honorable mentions, and I'll hand back to Mark. Thank you, everyone.
I think you're probably handing to me, Judy, unless Mark wants to say something particularly at this stage.
Sorry, I am handing back to Julian.
So thank you, Judy. Thank you, Dina. We're now going to move on to the main part, the highlight of the evening. Not that it wasn't a highlight hearing you, Dina, and you, Judy, and you, Mark, but the highlight of the evening really is for us to hear the poems. And Jochanan, if you're now able to share the poems on screen, we will hopefully be able to call upon the poets in the order that they appear in the document that Jochanan's just sharing now. Jochanan, I don't know if you're able to make that just a little bit bigger by perhaps closing down the section on the left. Is that possible? If not, never mind. It's good enough for my eyes. So, okay. Okay. And Jochen, will you also be able to scroll through as people read the
Yes,
poems?
I will scroll through. Let me,
Okay.
I just need to go back and I need to close the, well, unshare for a second. I am going to close the participants list. That should give more room. And now I'm going to share the screen again. How does that, let's see, how does that look now?
I think it actually looks the same, but okay. Look, I don't want to waste our time in
I can make it bigger
trying.
if I need to.
Okay, let's see. Is that okay for everybody? I'll assume so, unless you say no.
Okay.
First of all, congratulations to all the winners, all those who received honourable mentions with the wonderful poems that you've presented. What wonderful poets you are. And it's now my pleasure to call upon the winner of the first prize, Judy Robinson, who was connected to this meeting just as I arrived, and I was able to have a quick chat with her. So Judy, could you unmute your microphone, please, and
Yes.
tell us a little bit about yourself, just a sentence or two, and then share your poem with us.
Certainly. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here. What I really want to share is my gratitude to the judges, to Voices Israel, to all of you for this wonderful honor. I'm so pleased. I've been associated with you folks for many years, and I've submitted to the anthology and won some other prizes. But this is the really the cherry on the top of the sundae, and I appreciate it. I also quickly want to say that I think of, love, and have concerns for Israel every day of my life. I am a Zionist, and my heart is very much with all of you at all the time. So thanks again to the judges. Thank you for all you've done, and may God bless Israel. That's my message to you. And I'm happy to read the poem now. It's a poem, as Judy Corin mentioned. Death is, I think, one of the big motivators of all art. Death is the mother of beauty. I think that we all know that. Wallace Stevens said that. And I think that it does create moments and events that illuminate life. We know the impermanence. It does create art. It really does. It's a way of saying, I have lived, I've loved, and I'm here. I was here. Mortality. So this is called A Stream in Late Autumn. From higher ground, I see the river wend its easy way, its rhythm peaceful as my blood. My blood is quiet now, a stream in autumn, morning rage, pining spring. All trees are bare. I watch their bald limbs bend in rhythm muted as my own. My bones are spindles now, autumn branches, grieving fruit, pining leaf. No leaf to come will mourn for me, no blossom, bird, nor bough, nor will rushing waters weep, nor will locusts call. The earth will green, the worm renew, and I shall be no longer captive. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Judy.
Yes.
So we can now all see why you won the first prize. So
Wow.
well done, congratulations, and thank you for reading
Thank
your
you
poem
very
to
much.
us.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's my pleasure now to call upon Evie. Evie, are you connected? I think
Yes, I am.
You are. Okay, great. Could you say a little bit about, tell us where you are and how you pronounce your name, and read your poem to us.
Thank you. I am Evie Grock, even though I've been called many things before, which I won't get into now. I am a Yiddish speaker from birth. Yiddish was my mama Lucian. I still speak it and teach it. And I minored in Hebrew, so Am Yisrael Chai and Yesh Li Chovim Ba'aretz. I am an immigrant to this place where I call home, Northern California, across the bay from San Francisco. I came when I was 3 years old from a place I don't even know because everything about me has been falsified. My birthplace, my birth date, everything. So I have to live with that lack of knowledge. But my grandson swears with his genealogy, one day he'll figure it out, maybe before I die. We'll see. So this poem is about living through someone else's trauma. As you know, it gets passed down through the genes, and what my mother lived through stayed with me, and I probably passed it on to my children as well. But that never questioned love. Love was always there, but it wasn't always easy to deal with. So thank you so much for the privilege of reading my poem. Unknowable. She was a winter solstice whose bleakness spread depression. She was a melody sung off-key that couldn't correct itself. She was a geyser that faithfully spewed relentless love. She was a prison in which unspeakable and imagined events took place. She was a language no one spoke. She was an enigma on the outskirts of normal. She was my mother, whom I learned to love more fiercely after her death. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Evie.
Yeah.
That was wonderful and a lovely reading of it too. Johan, we're now going to call upon Jamie. I think Jamie is connected. Is that right? Yes, but your microphone is muted. So,
yep, I'm here.
hi, nice to meet you. Would you like to tell us who you are and where you are and share your poem?
Sure, yeah, thank you so much for the honor of the third prize. I'm in Chicago, so it's only 11:30 here. So this poem, Your Office, is about my grandpa. He passed away a little over a year ago, but he has always been a big inspiration for my poems. My second collection of poetry just came out last month. It's called Laughing in Yiddish, and it's about our family history, based a lot on interviews with my grandpa. So this poem is about him. So this is Your Office. How many times have I been in this room? Stack of children's artwork and cards in the letter tray. Heavy keyed calculator, receipt printer, carpet stain. Your ties hang like colorful vines in the closet. Family faces age in frames on the wall. Your smile and white hair consistent across decades. When I was little, I liked to stand next to you at your desk, watch red peppermint swim against your teeth as you taught me tricks with thimbles and cards. Every morning, sitting in your brown swivel chair, you stared at the windowsill, the potted barrel cactus, asserting its spot. Tan, orange, and beige, the desert sat you down to work. I never asked you if you studied the cactus, its spikes taking up your view. Or did you ignore it like pain, how little it needs to survive? You cried every time you said goodbye to me your last few years, your hands a fragile strength in embrace. Time was a fogged distance you could stretch yourself out toward, the couch warm for stories. I would like to say I'll meet you outside at the breakfast table. Your decaf coffee, my green tea, a backdrop of mountains and hummingbirds, desert lizards skittish under my feet. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. That was lovely. Thank you. Next, we have Elaine. Elaine, are you there? Yes, you are. But could you unmute your microphone, please, Elaine?
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
Elaine Mincer. I live in Los Angeles. For my entire life, except for a year, I spent on a kibbutz in Israel. After October 7th, the group of us who'd been in Israel 55 years before renewed contact, and we've been having monthly Zoom meetings that have broadened my world considerably. This poem was written soon after the James Webb Telescope was launched. Invisible light. And the epigraph is from Carl Sagan, "We are made of star stuff." Between the infrared and the ultraviolet lies the narrow spectrum of visible light, between things that move into the past and those that approach. It seems petty in the scheme of things that I should worry about my specific genetic signature being passed forward in this cosmic relay race into an iffy future compromised by holocausts, natural and human-made, and susceptible to the vagaries of time and evolution, infection and accident. I have faith in that which can be seen in the visible spectrum, the dead end sign that rises at the entry to my street, and the science that tells me we're likely to be consumed in the conflagration of a nova sun, henceforth visible only in the redshift where the past lives.
Well, thank you so much for reading, for sharing that, Elaine. So now I'd like to call upon David. I think you've just unmuted, David.
I have.
And your camera's on, that's great. So David, would you like to tell us who you are, please?
Okay, live in London. I lived in Israel during the 70s on a kibbutz in the north, which has stayed with me until this time very vividly. Poetry. I've written a lot of poems, over 100 over the last decade in particular, and I asked my wife to go through them, trying to select, which I can't do, for an anthology which may one day appear when I have the koyach to try and get it published because poetry, as we all know, is the last thing a publisher wants to see. Yeah. Having said that, my wife commented or said, "Why are so many of your poems set in or near cemeteries?" Yes, thank you, darling. She was, of course, right. This one goes there, but it's actually a tribute to youth. Skimming stones towards an imagined island. At dawn, the milky water lost its opacity. Golden flecks spotted the surface calm until the sun filled the sky with its intent. We chose flat grey stones, white stones, seeking out each sanded smoothness and how it must hug the inverted sea, formed by thumb and first finger, then flick them with bent arm to skip across the surface like water boatmen, and hoped to never see them sink, but rather land on an imaginary island, tree-bent with tamarisk and terebinth. For we were buoyed up, each of us, with each flat, smooth stone, with the comfort to be like the stones, floating, such a sweetness, their distant immortality. Yesterday, now fewer, we searched in the mud for jagged stones to rest on the flat marble, a year on from another departure towards an imaginary island that might lurk, or not, in the sky. Spirits danced unseen around us as we bent down, down, for the stones so sharp that purple bruises of time staining our skin like the red hues on white-tipped waves at sunset. Thank you, everybody, and thank you to the judges.
Well, thank you, David. I should just note that we heard the first prize, the second prize, and then we heard 3 third prize winners. And the sequence in which they were read was a random order. There was no intention that one of the third prizes were better than the other. They were all judged as equal third prize winners. And wonderful poems they all are, as are the poems for the winners of the honourable mentions. And Gary, it's over to you first, please. So Gary, could you unmute your microphone? Have you done? Yes, no, yes?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes,
Great.
we can.
Gary
Nice to see you,
Corby.
Gary.
You too. Gary Corby, I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Spent some time in a kibbutz in the early 70s. It's near Jerusalem. Started trying to write traditional sonnets. I don't think I have the technical ability to do that, so I'm just trying to work with more prose poems today and just experimenting, see what I can come up with. This poem's called Silence, and it begins, "They came as silent as the sun, creeping down the lanes, sneaking through the fields, bringing with them a false dawn and taking with them what we most loved. I am asked to identify your body. It lies before me silent, a broken machine, missing the spark no mechanical process can produce. Longing to escape, I picture your smile the day we met, recall talking into the night as the lights around us winked out one by one, but no escape is possible. Outside, the air is still. Even the birds have fallen silent. When the winter rains pour, I will miss you. I will miss you searching the clearing skies for the trailing rainbow. When we harvest next year's plantings, I will miss you. I will miss you singing to yourself as we work together. When evening falls, I will miss you. I will miss you lying beside me in the night's long silence." Thank you. Thank you for
Gary.
thank you for your contest and for the Voices of Israel. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Gary.
And the judges as well.
Good. Thank you. And David, David Silverman, I think I saw you. Are you there? Can you unmute your microphone? David, can
Hi
you?
there. Yeah,
Hi.
I was just unmuting my microphone.
Okay. David, please introduce yourself and read your poem.
Sure. So I'm David Silverman. I live in Skokie, Illinois. It's a suburb north of Chicago. Probably been a member of Voices for 25 years, something like that. I've judged the contest a couple of times, and everything Judy said is correct. It's I really I hope I get asked again in the future because it's really a wonderful experience. I hope you all have the opportunity to be able to do that. This poem that I'm going to read, called it Shabbat Dinner. An old friend asks me what makes a poem a poem. Ended up being the first of a trilogy of what to me are my October 7th poems. This was a few months after the war started, and I was finding it impossible to write anything. I was trying every day, and I'm kind of consumed and struggling with this statement that I read years ago that came back to me that Seamus Haney said that goes something like, no lyric ever stopped a tank. And just the efficacy of words, the purpose of writing these poems. It's it's been a struggle for me since October 7th, and I've been writing poems for 50 years, so I've never encountered anything like this. Anyways, this poem was kind of like dipping my toe in the water. I didn't even know what I was doing, but it was the first thing I wrote after October 7th. And then there were 2 more poems that came in the subsequent months that are probably my lifeline to continuing to writing poems. So in any event, let me, since you are not my therapist and I don't want to burn up any more time, I'll just get to reading the poem. At Shabbat dinner, around the table of an old friend who would not know a poem if one came up to him on the street, put out its hand and said, "I'm a poem, pleased to meet you." He asks me, what makes a poem a poem? And I, who have read 50,000 poems and written at least 100, struggled to give him a coherent answer. One of the other guests, an old friend, feeling bad for me, I suppose, volunteered a variation of that old cliche, poetry is like pornography. And while poetry is nothing like pornography, at least not the poetry I read and write, I appreciated her assistance and admired the alliteration. And as the conversation among the guests gravitated to other subjects, I was distracted, thinking of all the things I could have said, as if explaining what makes a poem was more important than discussing the war, the hostages, more important than the despair that descended upon us on October 7th, our collective existential dread. And then I noticed a single berry falling off the side of a fancy fruit tart my friend's wife had lovingly prepared. It was fat and purple and oozing with liquid, its top dusted with a kippah of confectioner sugar, and I thought about how sweet life can be if you stop to notice. I thought about all the times I've sat at this table and all the times these friends have sat at mine. I thought about my children and theirs, and now our grandchildren. And then I wanted nothing more than to break my perpetual diet and taste that voluptuous berry, whose sole reason for existence, it seemed to me, was to burst in my mouth and provide me with pleasure. And when no one was looking, or maybe they were, I snatched it from the tart, and when I tasted that sweet berry, I was no longer thinking of poetry. Or maybe, probably, almost certainly I was.
Thank you, David. That was lovely. Thank you. Okay, insomnia. Iris, can you, or Iris, I'm never sure whether to call you Iris or Iris. Perhaps you'll explain when you tell us about yourself. But your microphone is muted at the moment, so we can't hear you.
Okay, so my name is Iris Dan or Iris. Some call me Iris, some call me Iris. I don't know how I call myself. Anyway, I live in Haifa. I've been living in Israel for many years. I was born in Romania, and I'm a translator by trade. Now the trade is being taken over by machines, like everything else. It's another profession that will disappear in its present form. So I translate poetry. I translated a lot of Yehuda Amichai into Romanian and also German poets. I translated Louis Glick. And I'm trying to write poetry myself. Why in English? At some point in my life, I submitted some English poems to Voices Israel, and to my surprise and delight and fear, was very kindly invited.
This has been about, when was it, in 26 or 28? All over those years, I've been a member, and I've enjoyed much kindness from my friends and colleagues. This poem, Insomnia, was written last summer. Of course, October 7th is in it because it shook us all up and made our earth unstable under our feet. So I wrote this, and never mind, I'll read it for you. The insomnia. I notice that one of your sheep has a limp. Again, I wonder why there aren't regulations against branding animals or piercing their ears. Ewe lambs. The delivery is difficult. The lamb looks retarded. As a matter of fact, the whole species isn't very intelligent. The wolf always approaching, and they remain placid. We aren't much brighter. But then, when you live on a danger plateau, the brain copes by raising placidity hormones. The guided meditation guy speaks in a reassuring, carefully cavernous sentences. You wouldn't believe he is a bodiless, and you would believe he is a bodiless entity speaking from heaven. I know how he looks. He has the constitution of a bodybuilder, the face of a club bouncer. If I hear once more your word spiritual, I'll break the medium to which this message is broadcast. The worst thing about insomnia is the feeling of being an outcast. Respectable people, those who have put in an honest day's work, sinned well, repented well, entrusting their souls to divine approval and forgiveness, they are those deserving of sleep. You are not. Your offering has been rejected. When finally you fall asleep, a fat, yellow, self-satisfied sun mocks you by piercing curlicute rays into your rain-splashed windows.
Well, thank you so much, Iris. Or should I say Iris? I'm still not sure what you prefer, but thank you. I shall maybe go with what you said and call you either Iris or Iris. So thank you. Moving on now to Laurel. Laurel, are you connected? Yes, and you've unmuted your microphone. So Laurel, would you like to tell us about yourself and read your poem? I can't see it. Yes, I can. No, I can't.
Yes, I'm here.
I can see you as well.
Yep.
Thank you. Hello, Laurel. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Hi, I'm Laurel Benjamin, and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. Evie or Evie, I'm also in the East Bay. And I wanted to echo that feeling that David mentioned about having a hard time writing about October 7th. And the strategy that I took at the time, for some reason, I don't see myself as a speaker, but that's okay.
We can see you though, Laurel.
Okay, great. Thank you. One strategy that I took is I started a collaboration with a friend where not literally collaborating on each poem, but we shared poems and worked on developing poems having to do with the Jewish world post October 7th. So this was one of the poems that I had worked on. And it's inspired by Yehuda Amichai quote, "And my scream is made of strange edges like a complicated key." That was from one of his poems. And this is in 6 parts. And I'm actually going to use numbers to make it easier to read the parts. 1. Morning walk. I lose the house key. Come home looking for my husband, who is out searching for my key without texting me. Then I wait so we won't miss the vet appointment. But I don't care. The key, the house, the cats, the husband. I sit down on the porch. Later, the hardware store will cut new keys. 2. Scissors cut my hair to breathe, sharp edges ready to be dulled. 3. I misread a poem entitled Pain Blank as Point Blank. 4. I don't talk to my husband about the death of Eden, age 24, retrieved body weighing 79 pounds, named for the beginning of time. Instead, we sit down to a normal breakfast, eggs so fluffy, metal taste, like it's October 7th, all over again. I spit out yellow bits and chunks. 5. Uphill at the park, sparrows call hostage names. Chirp, chirp. One oak branch, the width of a trunk, cut marks, fresh, jagged, as if my family rounded up, floorboards lit, safe house pried open, as if we, the burnt edges. 6. In my dream, we stand at the cliff edge. Some face the receding foam, others idle towards slight clouds. I don't know anyone. We speak without words. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel. That was lovely. Thank you. Our next poet is not able to be with us this evening. It's a busy time here in Israel, as you know. Naomi Yalin is this evening involved in a Yom HaShoah event. And so I'm very pleased that Judy Corrin has offered to read Naomi's poem. Judy, are you there? Can you unmute your microphone, please?
Yes, thank you. Okay, in the safe haven of Ma'ale HaKarmel, I should perhaps just mention that Naomi is a member of our Haifa group and has been for many years and a good friend. Okay. And now, like the snail, you have withdrawn within your shell to suffocate in your dilemma. So fragile, exhausted, shivering with fear, almost drowning, almost gone, but still calling to be rescued, crying silently for our care, drawing us in, letting out smoke signals of distress for us to decipher. Could you scroll it up, please, Yochanan? Come, dear one, escape from your demons, your punishing dreams. Take our hands, let us comfort you. Let us calm your fears and quell your terror of living a normal life, the doubts and dilemmas of relationships. Slowly, if you wish, emerge from your shell, step by step, feeling your way back to the fearful reality of freedom. Gradually, from closed ward to open, from open ward to hostel and to home. We are here, waiting to welcome you back, to hold you close. All this world is a narrow bridge. Do not fear at all.
Who said that?
Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Naomi, as well. Miriam, are you able to unmute your microphone and share your poem? Miriam, can you hear me? I hope you can. Can you unmute your microphone? Yochanan, I don't think you can unmute somebody's microphone, can you?
No, I can't unmute, but I can
you
do.
ask her to unmute? Can you send a message on the, if you hover across her name, I think it can.
Okay, done.
Okay, there, she found it.
I found it.
Okay, thank you, Miriam. Would you like to introduce yourself and share with us your poem?
Ken. My name is Miriam Weber. I live in Moshav Habonim in Israel on the coast. I have a wonderful view of the sea. I've done all sorts of things in my life. I've done translating from Hebrew into English of the Alzheimer's Journal when my husband was sick. I've also done English language editing, English language. And I think the most exciting thing I did was for Professor Avinoam Danin, who wrote a book on the flower debris left on the shroud. He was asked to examine it because he was not Christian, so he wouldn't be biased. And it was incredible, the things that he found. For me, it proved that the shroud was the shroud of Jesus. Anyway, that was very interesting. What happened on 7/10, I was thinking for a long time what sort of poem to write. I had no inspiration for anything about flowers or views or anything mundane. And then I realized that the incident and what was happening was in my brain. So I decided to just let it go. But for the grace of God. In my bedroom, the cell phone alarm rings and the morning sun pours in between shutter slats. In the tunnel, I have no way of knowing if it is morning, what day it is, stale air, no sun, no window. I wash, take a fresh towel, choose what to wear, make my breakfast with a cup of coffee. I wash only when they let me wear the same clothes. Eat whatever and whenever I'm given, but I'm so hungry, so thirsty. I talk with friends, read the newspaper, watch the evening TV news. Streets are filled with thousands crying out to free the hostages. I know nothing, hear no news. Is my family fighting for my release? Do they even know if I'm alive? I miss them so badly. I sleep in comfort after a satisfying routine day, while negotiations drag on and hostages are being murdered. I toss in uneasy, snatched sleep, tense, terrified. What is going to happen? Are they going to kill me at any moment without warning?
Oh, thank you, Miriam. Perhaps an opportune moment to say that we all pray all the time, non-stop, that our hostages should come home soon, alive and well, those that are still alive, and that the others come home as well. Fran, slightly different subject. Fran, can you unmute? You have done.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you very much for choosing my poem, and I thank you to the judges, and I feel very honored to be in such talented company. A little bit about myself. I was a special ed and English teacher for 33 years. I retired 5 years ago and started writing. I write nonfiction and poetry. In the last year, I joined Voices Israel a year ago, and I feel like I've found a second home for myself because I so enjoy the community in our meetings. This poem is dedicated to my niece. I have one niece who lives in New York, and she has a passion for hats. And when I actually wrote to Mark and asked if children's poems would be acceptable for the competition, and he said, bring it on. So I'm really excited for both me and Anya. Ode to a Young Mad Hatter. When the chips are down and the sky is grey and nothing exciting happened today, there's something you can always do to stop yourself from feeling blue. Choose a hat and put it on, and all your troubles will be gone. When you're in a rotten mood, just slip on a little snood. A matching stripy cap and scarf can make the saddest person laugh. Sport a fancy picture hat, and you'll be an aristocrat. What you don is up to you, and even a hairnet will do. Try a cute Victorian bonnet with bows and frills and flowers upon it. A flirty little 20s cloche gives you style and looks real posh. Wear that Stetson with a passion, quite the height of Texan fashion. A bowler, Homburg, or a trilby, and a happy soul you certainly will be. For Eastern flair, take a turban to stop you looking too suburban. A fez will add a Turkish touch. That will suit you very much. Catch that uptown Harlem manner. Tie your curls in a bandana. Tichels, scheitels, streimels too, and you will look a proper Jew. So here's the moral of this tale. When you're sad, just take the veil. And if there's no comfort in that, well, my dear, I'll eat my hat. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Fran. That was lovely. Thank you. Our next poem, Unsettling. Unfortunately, Elisa, I'm not sure how you say it, can't be with us this evening. And so Donna Bachar has kindly volunteered to read her poem. Donna, I think you've unmuted already. I can see you. Yes, so please would you go ahead and read Unsettling for us.
Thank you, Julian. Unsettling. The texture of morning is without exception unsettling. Touch water, born from memory's breath, mist. Hold hand outstretched from forgotten dream, desire. Trace image drawn from days, last light, shadow. Feel hunger rise and fall with ocean's endless wave. And here, where sand's bed waits beneath morning's tide, I feel your soft, wet kiss.
Thank you, Donna. That was beautifully read. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian.
And thank you for stepping in at such short notice. I think it was only this morning that you received the email from me. So thank you, really, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Julian. You're welcome. My pleasure.
Well, talking of pleasure, Donna, I have the pleasure each month to get to meet Pesach Rotem, and to hear one of Pesach's poems. I don't think I've ever heard a poem from Pesach that's quite as short as this one. Pesach, would you unmute your microphone? You have done.
Yes.
Yes. Hello,
Yes,
Pesach. Would you introduce yourself? And I guess you won't be introducing yourself in quite as short a way as your poem will be, but please, Pesach, tell us about you.
Okay, thank you, Julian. My name is Pesach Rotem. I'm originally from New York. I now live in Yodfat, a small village in the Lower Galilee. And I'm a member of the Upper Galilee chapter of Voices Israel, where we meet at Reuben Goldfarb's home with Julian Alper and his wife Miriam and many other members. It's a good, fun group. And here's my haiku called Kindness. A wounded sparrow cries out to you for comfort. Do not walk away.
Thank you, Pesach. That was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian.
And now we move on to the last. And again, I should mention, I said the last of the honourable mentions, but these honourable mentions are not presented, and we're not hearing them in a particular order other than a random order as they are printed in this document. So, Pearl, are you there?
I'm here.
I did see you. Yes, Pearl, thank you. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. And would you tell us about yourself, Pearl, and read your poem? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for having me on, and to all the judges. This came as a lovely surprise. I am the author of 4 novels, and this poem is from a crown titled Hineni. What else? I am Jerusalem born, actually. Lived there until I was 5, and then on and off every other year until about 12. Often in the Hungarian houses, Mea Shearim area. My mother's family is from the old city. So, but I have been here and was educated here. The last time I was in Tel Aviv was for a Bar Ilan conference right after 9/11. And as it happened, a nightclub at the base of the hotel we were staying in was bombed, and we thought that was bad. Of course, after October 7th, I just want to quote Shakespeare from Macbeth: "Hamas has murdered sleep."
Well, that's more likely because it's international, but that's frequent.
Jochen, could you mute?
Yeah,
I think it's a late.
I'm gonna work on that here.
Thank you.
Well, I was getting a response. Like, the poem I'm reading is not one for October 7th, though I have written them. I published one for Eden and Carmel on Ritual Well. But here it is, My Father's Synagogue. If, like me, he'd preferred trees to people, he would have had a standing minyan for Shabbos, without waiting at the corner to beg passerby on their way to another shul, and fulfilled his mother's ambition for him, renown, like the grandfather he was named for. He could have had forests, multiple minions, tens to the nth, in trunks of every texture, thickness, height, quorums of trees for collective prayer. Even the Baal Shem believed a private appeal to God, speaking plainly, in Yiddish even, alone in the forest, more powerful. If my father had accepted the tall pines in our yard as members, if, like me.
Thank you, Pearl. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, all of the prize winners, the honourable mentions, for reading your wonderful poems and for reading them so beautifully. Okay, we're going to move on now to the open mic session. I'm going to share my screen for a moment if I can. Looking for the right button. Share, got it. No, not that one. This one. These are the poems and the poets that have registered to read poems. I'm going to ask each of you to be rather brief and not introduce yourselves, but to get on to read the poem for the sake of being able to finish at a reasonable hour. And if then time allows, and any of the prize winners or honourable mentions have got another poem to read, then maybe we will have time for that as well. I'm going to first of all ask Mark if he'll read his poem. Mark, are you there? Can you unmute your microphone? And
yes, I'm unmuted.
Oh, and sorry, can I just say before Mark starts, if I've missed anybody off the list who did register and hasn't yet read one of their poems, please send me a message if I've managed to miss you accidentally. So, Mark, please go ahead.
Yes, on the contrary, I believe I was included accidentally. I don't recall registering for the open mic. I've said enough already. I've taken enough time.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. I'll remove you from the list. And I think that Dina has actually dropped out of the meeting. Is that right? Can anybody tell? She said she was going to. Has she gone?
Yes, she sent a chat message saying sorry she had to go and she left.
Okay, so Judy, that's now down to you, and you've already unmuted. So Judy, please share your poem.
And surprisingly, I do actually have a poem to read. I had originally thought of another one, but when I saw that the general theme of the meeting was so somber, I thought I would also bring this one. It's in memoriam for a friend of mine who died. It's called, at a very advanced age, it's called Windowsill Dove. Okay, in case you have problems following it because we're not screen sharing, I should perhaps note that the stanza format is 2 long lines and 1 half line, like 2.5 lines per stanza. Okay. For Cecilia Harris, in memoriam. Miners would come, scaring away the sparrows, then blackbird, finch, or great tit, hopping hopeful through rusty grill. Today old breadcrumbs scattered on the sill, bright-eyed but wary, gone at the slightest sound. 2 pigeons found a cardboard box on the bedroom window ledge, newspaper-lined, where feathered hope could lay deep-nestled eggs. Visitor to her eyrie, I'd renew their water, scrubbing algae from the bowl, make her a brew of honeyed lemon water without tea, tell her the names of birds she strained to see, but loved to hear, twitter and chirrup, sitting half concealed beside that bird-loud window. I believe her spirit sits there still. So, Sissy, this is for you, now you have flown. Tidy, sassy, perky as any great hit, window enthroned, in love with life still at 101. Though at the end you found it hard, I know, living alone. You wouldn't give up your perch, move from your home, saying that only here, where you belong, you'd hear their song. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Mm.
Johanan, I hope that you've got a poem to share with us. I suspect it may
yes,
also
I
be
do.
on the short
And,
side.
oh, hold on. Did I unmute? Yeah, I'm unmuted. Okay, so let me pull it up.
Do I need to stop sharing if you're going to share, Johanan? Or will
No,
you just
no, I'm not going to share. I'm just
okay.
going to read it.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
I have to bring up the right book. There we go. And so kind of keeping with the other ones, Tears to the Sea, Atanka, sitting on a beach while the tide rolls in. Water washes around me as I remember you. The salt water flows from my eyes.
Thank you, Johanan. Thank you. Okay, Donna.
Thank you, Julian. Onion skin. Gingerly, my fingers lifted the lid of the 8 by 10 inch shallow box. Delicately, they folded back the rustling tissue paper, revealing the deceptively dainty sheets of onion skin paper we typewriter typists held in high esteem. Like a treasure and treated with utmost respect, it was the refined, elegant royalty of paper, its use giving elevated status to whatever text was typed thereon, as it was more dear than the mundane masses of wood-pulped reams. I loved its eggshell to canary-hued translucence, its cockle-groved crispness, its crinkly musical notes, like those of the breeze-blown leaves, as I grasped a leaf to slowly roll through my typewriter's awaiting carriage. Its feel tingled my fingertips as the waves of its air-dried surface allowed for enhanced clinging of ink, yet facilitated easy error erasure of copious carbon copies with my pink eraser disc with attached green tassel brush. Like its namesake, fine layers guarding the sanctity of the inner onion, it was, and still is, a champion shield for precious color-plated pages, for embossed greetings and engraved invitations. Its unassuming strength and durability, due to the vigor of its abundant foundation of cotton fibers, and which belied its fragile facade and lightweight nature, gives sustenance and longevity to the typewritten word.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Phyllis, is Phyllis here? I'm not sure. I can't see on my screen. Can anybody tell me if Phyllis is here? I don't think so. Okay, and Isaac, I'm not sure Isaac's here either. And Rosemary, I don't think Rosemary's here, but I'm sure Wendy is. Wendy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, but actually the poem I was going to read, I just found out today it's been accepted for the anthology, so I don't really want to read it before it's published. I do have something else, but not really appropriate for the theme of this this evening. I don't know if you want to hear it or not.
I think we should. I don't think we should have everything too sad. If that's if yours is a happy poem, Wendy, then let's hear it.
Like everybody else, I had extreme, lockdown after October the 7th, and I couldn't write anything for a long time. But then just last year, I had a chance to go away with my children on a roots trip to England. And I was very taken by one of the visits we did. It's called Brighton Rock. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. So the old music hall song goes. It speaks of buckets and spades and naughty postcards, large bottoms in tight swimsuits. The beachgoers are smarter now, long floral dresses and flowing hair. There's still the smell of fish and chips from the promenade, but frequent coffee too. Candy floss and brightly coloured sweet engraved throughout Brighton Rock. Squatting on a folding chair, I watch my family hobble over the pebbles of Brighton Beach, wincing until they reach the water. With a squill, they dive into icy waves. An anxious little dog looks out to sea as his man ploughs the waves, worrying at the edge of the water, wagging his tail when he returns to shore. A group of beer-swigging youths, clean and good-natured, play with a ball. The little dog snatches the ball and joyously frisks up and down the beach, not letting it go. From left to right, spraying pebbles, back and forth, its owners try to catch it in vain. The seagulls screech and swoop down onto the beach, approaching picnickers hoping for a crumb. So graceful in the air. On land, they waddle, squabbling over a banana skin. The June evening is light until late, the last sun still warm. For the chilled swimmers, rubbing themselves with seaside towels, dressing in clothes that smell of damp salt. There is nothing in the world like an English seaside. I do love to be beside the sea.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you.
A slightly lighter tone.
Yes, and thank you for that. Pessy, I think you're present. Am I right? Are you still there? I think I saw you. If you're there, could you unmute your microphone? Is Pessy still here? Yes, Pessy, you haven't unmuted your microphone. Can you do so? Maybe we'll come back to you, Pessy, and move on to Susan next, because I think Susan's ready, unmuted. So Pessy, if you can manage to unmute your microphone, we'll come back to you after Susan.
Yeah. Pessy, if you unmute your microphone, what you do is you go to your picture and go up to the top above your at the top of your picture, and it'll say unmute.
While you're looking to do that, though, Pessy, we'll ask Susan to share
Yes.
her poem. Susan, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Julian. The poem I'm going to read is one that was published last week in Poetry Superhighway Showa edition. I know there were some other Voices members on that list as well. Mine is called Village. I'm a city girl. I have never lived the rural life, nor could I imagine how that would be. But when I visited my father's birthplace in Germany, another vista opened up to me. Far from living on a busy road, a bus route, the daily city commute, and latterly living in retirement by the sea, a lovely neighborhood, an Israeli. On that date, the 80th anniversary of Kristallnacht, my sister and I, her husband and mine, stepped off the train on a small country line. Met by the mayor and good-hearted local folk, guided we were round memorable family spots and burial plots, all within easy walking distance, a beautiful rural place nestling in the surrounding hills. Centuries of our family had lived in this village, a Dorf, until the Nazis came and nearly killed us off. In this small community, an intimate web of a few streets, Jewish life was interwoven with the fabric of that place, a harmony that was cruelly replaced, with a fortunate few managing to emigrate, others condemned to perish at infamous places. The coziness of that village life was no protection against persecution. Indeed, it may even have contributed to it, exposed as my relatives were to their former kind neighbourly mates, the villagers who sealed their ghastly fate. Dedicated to the memory of Uncle Emile, whose fate only recently has been revealed.
Oh, thank you, Susan. Actually, I'd like to tell everybody that in the next newsletter, which hopefully will be out later this week, there will be a link to all the poems that were selected in the Poetry Superhighway, including Susan's and several other members, as she mentioned. So look out for the next newsletter.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Susan. Pessy, I think you've unmuted now. Is that right?
Yes, I think so. Thank you. Thanks to Johanan.
So thank you. Thank you, Johan, and thank you, Pessy. Would you like to share your poem, Pessy?
Yes, and thank you everybody for this fantastic event. It's called Cry the Beloved, a new song. Beryl, my grandfather, last seen thrown off a bus. Papers, papers, screamed subhuman black boots, guns slung over uniform's welcoming shoulder. You can't cross the Polish-German border, raus. Old lady's documents aren't intact either. Regina, my mother, through the window watches her father's white beard waving goodbye. As limping after bus fumes, he cries, my tefillin, forgot them on the inhospitable dust-encrusted seats in their cosy velvet bag. How now, daily supplication, leather box on brow with strings attached. Malka, my devoted grandma, with grandpa strung along by Holocaust's killing machine, arise from its furnace, scorched, yet undamaged, gleaming amber pillars, embrace fledgling Beebus brothers, Gingy, Queer and Ariel, and onto my grandparents' hearts, embossing them as Cry the Beloved, a new song arises from Sherry, dear Mama, enshrined together eternal souls. Yarden, husband, father, mourner, remaining survivor of our nation's iconic Beebus family, cruel history entwines my heartstrings with yours, swears hostage to a brutal past will not be taken, as generations impel us to create a new symphony.
Thank you, Pessy. Thank you. Next on the list, I think I've made a mistake, Laurel. Please forgive me, because I think you've already read one of your poems.
I did not
Most
sign up
Honourable
for the
Matron.
open mic. It was a mistake.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry,
you,
my
Julian.
mistake. But thank you.
It's okay.
So next is Reuben. Reuben, I think I saw you connected. Are you there? Can you unmute your microphone and share your poem, please?
Yeah, just succeeded in unmuting. I don't think I signed up, or if I did, I don't recall which poem I chose. Do you have a record of the titles?
I do, I think. In fact, Jochen perhaps can look it up while we go on to the next
okay.
poet.
If you can find the title, find the poem. Otherwise, I won't know.
Okay. Pearl, are you there? Did you sign up? Have I made another mistake?
Yeah, no, I've already read. And I
Oh,
don't,
you've already read. I'm
I
sorry.
don't know how I got on this.
I'm sorry, my mistake. Jochen, are you able to see the list and see what Reuben signed up for, or whether I've just made a
Yeah,
mistake?
let me look at it real quick. I have to go into Google Forms real quick.
Julian,
Yes.
Julian, can I
Yes.
just tell you that I'm very happy to share the fact that my poem was actually just published in the Jerusalem Report. This Cry the Beloved, a new song. Yes.
Lovely. Pessy, please send me a reminder by email, and I'll make note of it in the newsletter. So thank you.
And they made a beautiful graphic. I don't know if you can see it with the tefillin.
It's not showing.
No.
But please send me an email. And with the Jerusalem Report, I think that they publish it, some of them online. So if it is published online, please again send me a link to it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jochen, are you able to see?
Okay, I'm looking in here now, and moving down to the bottom, and
can you see which poem Reuben signed for, or whether I just made a mistake? Registered for, I should say.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't see one.
Okay. Reuben, I'm sorry.
I don't feel impelled to read anyway, and I probably anticipate doing this way.
Okay. Well, I think actually, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call a halt there. I can see some people have already left the meeting, which is probably a good indication that the meeting is.
May I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes, who's speaking?
This is Evie Grock. I had registered for a poem and I put it in chat, but I'm not sure you had time to read my request.
Perhaps another time, Evie. I'm sorry,
Okay,
but I think we've probably gone on a little bit longer than I was expecting that we would. And probably for the sake of letting everybody get on with the rest of their evening, let's call a halt there, if that's okay. So thank you to everybody for taking part in what's been, for me, an absolutely wonderful evening. I hope that you've all enjoyed it too, the experience of hearing the wonderful poems that we've been able to hear the poets read. And please don't forget that during, I think it's June the 24th, we said, there's going to be a workshop in Haifa, and more details will follow there. And I would just like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for taking part tonight, and hope you all have a Shavuot of a good week.
Excuse
Thank
me.
you, Julian.
I'd like to
Thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you, judges.
Thank you, Julian, for a lovely
And
evening.
Yes.
Thank
And
you
a
very
Chodesh
much.
Appreciate it.
Wonderful
and
poems.
Chodesh Tov, Chodesh Tov.
Absolutely. Chodesh Tov too.
And
Yeah,
also,
thank you very much,
Wonderful.
Julian.
also I'd
Thank
like to
you
thank
all.
Mark. Also
Thank
thank
you.
Mark for running this competition so
Yes.
beautifully and
And Johan for all his work this evening.
and
Not
Johan.
just this evening, I can assure you there's been